Good afternoon. Good afternoon. We added this press conference today based on forecasts coming from the National Weather Service related to Tropical Storm Nicholas, and we wanted to make sure that no one is caught off guard by this storm. As many of you may know, last night I did declare a state of emergency ahead of Tropical Storm Nicholas because of the threat of heavy rainfall and flash flooding that it could bring to south and central Louisiana, and really all of south Louisiana. And these areas, as you all know, are very vulnerable because of ongoing recovery efforts that really continue for Laura and Delta in southwest, Ida in the southeastern part of our state. Also, earlier today, I requested a pre-landfall disaster declaration. And if the President grants this declaration, it just allows us to move federal assets that we have in the state to respond to Ida to southwest Louisiana in the event that we need to do that. Absent the declaration, don't really have the authority to engage those personnel and those assets in response to Nicholas. We want to make sure that we have that flexibility. Nicholas will likely be weakening into a depression as its center slowly moves into Louisiana early on Wednesday morning and will exit into southern Mississippi by Thursday morning. However, the track, the intensity are not yet certain with respect to Nicholas, and if it moves further to the east and it stays over water longer, it could intensify even more than is currently depicted on the graphics. Life-threatening flash flooding due to very heavy rainfall will be the primary concern, and that's Tuesday through Thursday, with rain totals of 6 to 10 inches across South Louisiana, and in isolated areas it could be much higher than that. And that's especially true if the forward speed of the storm slows down. Again, it recently picked up speed, but it was moving much slower earlier. Also has the potential to cause river flooding in southwest and in southeast Louisiana. One of the things that could exacerbate the threat of flooding are all the ditches and catch basins and storm drains and so forth, all these drainage systems that have debris from previous storms that hasn't yet been cleaned up, and that could enhance the threat for flash flooding. Isolated tornadoes are always possible with tropical systems, and the threat for tornadoes will primarily be on Wednesday and Thursday. And one of the things we have to guard against is dismissing the threat of this storm because it is not projected currently to reach hurricane strength before it makes landfall. A few things about this storm I want everyone to realize. As of right now, with this projected path, the right side, or typically the side where most of the rain falls, will be in Louisiana. Secondly, Hurricane Ida, long after it ceased being a hurricane, caused devastating flash flooding because of rainfall throughout New Jersey, Delaware, and New York. And I would only have to point back to 2016 here, and really May of this year as well, when we had unnamed storms that actually caused significant property damage and the need for some sheltering because of rain and flash flooding. And we certainly know from 2016 you don't have to even have a named storm in order to have very significant flooding. So because of the high amounts of rainfall, the threat of flash flooding, coupled with the fact that southwest Louisiana and southeast Louisiana are still recovering from multiple storms, I felt like the declaration of emergency was a prudent thing to do. and we're asking everyone across South Louisiana, and when we say South Louisiana, potentially heavy rainfall in Central Louisiana as well, as you can see from the graphics. But we're asking everyone to be mindful of the threats that are posed. It doesn't take much water to wash your car off the road. And after Hurricane Ida moved through, an individual perished while trying to drive across a flooded roadway in his vehicle. Floodwaters often hide other dangers as well. It could be electrical wires or sharp objects. And of course, the safe thing to do is stay out of floodwater. Remember, stay aware of the situation. Heed all of the guidance coming from local officials. Make sure that you're tuning in to the National Weather Service and the TV news or radio news and know what's happening with the weather. Watch for boil advisories in case water systems go out. Understand that much of the electricity restoration has already happened, is tentative. They haven't repaired all of the transmission lines serving many of the areas in southeast Louisiana. So it's possible that not just that continued restoration efforts could be slowed, but some of what has already been restored could be lost as well for some period of time. And speaking of power outages, we still have more than 119,000 customers without power in southeast Louisiana. And with respect to Ida, we did confirm, or the coroner of East Baton Rouge Parish did confirm 2 additional deaths today to be related to the storm. A 69-year-old male and an 85-year-old female, both from East Baton Rouge, and they both perished because of heat-related issues because of extended power outages. That brings the total number of heat-related deaths to 12. Heat-related deaths to 12, and the total number of deaths related to Ida is now 28. With respect to preparations for Tropical Storm Nicholas, the National Guard will stage 80 high-water vehicles, 23 boats, and 15 aircraft across southwest Louisiana and into central Louisiana by the end of the day, and will remain postured for response in southeast Louisiana as necessary. And of course, this is in addition to their ongoing Hurricane Ida recovery efforts. Currently, more than 8,200 service members are activated in support of operations in Louisiana. That includes more than 2,000 from other states. The State Fire Marshal has 30 boats staged in Lafayette today, with the potential for that number to go up to 72 if needed. Communications are also underway with Louisiana urban search and rescue teams, and we have 4 teams available immediately, and we will increase that number if we need to. Similarly, the Louisiana Wildlife and Fisheries are posturing with 169 agents with boats and trucks able to respond. The CPRA is holding pumps and other flood fighting assets from Hurricane Ida in place so that they can continue dewatering operations following Tropical Storm Nicholas. The DOTD staff are on alert and have mobilized their high water signs, barricades, and other equipment that may be needed to address issues related to the storm. This equipment will be utilized when it's safe to do so. It's important to note that debris on the roadway and high water can occur at any time during these storm events, and a motorist, you as a motorist, can certainly beat the highway department to these locations. And so just because there isn't a sign up doesn't mean that it's safe to drive. But it's certainly unsafe if you ignore a sign or a barricade and proceed into standing water. As always, I encourage people to check 511la.org or the 511LA app to see what routes are open or closed at any given time because of weather or other causes, and to find alternate routes if necessary. This morning, there were 1,425 individuals still sheltered from Hurricane Ida in 18 shelters in the state because of evacuations that occurred both before and after Hurricane Ida. Obviously, our shelters are open and they're ready, if necessary, to be used for individuals who might have to relocate because of Tropical Storm Nicholas. But if you need shelter because of Tropical Storm Nicholas, please first heed the guidance of your local Office of Emergency Preparedness, the people in your parish. They will give you the most up-to-date shelter information for your area. But you can also text LA Shelter to 898-211, or you can dial 211. A few updates from FEMA on Hurricane Ida. FEMA has now approved more than 277,000 applications for disaster assistance, that's individual assistance, and that means more than $317 million also already approved. Total registration is approaching 600,000, 593,000 and some change have registered for individual assistance from Hurricane Ida. There are more than 10,406 households checked into the Transitional Sheltering Assistance Program. That means more than 30,000 household members are in hotels because of the TSA program. With respect to the National Flood Insurance Program, there have been 10,579 claims filed because of Ida, and currently $20.1 million has been paid out. The Small Business Administration has approved 884 loans for a total of more than $36.8 million. More than 51,000 individuals have registered for the Blue Roof program. Those installations began last week, and as the program started to ramp up, I can tell you that more than 450 have been installed, and that number is going to increase, I think, rather dramatically over the coming days and weeks, of course, depending upon the weather. If you still need to apply for a Blue Roof, you can do that online at blueroof.us, or you can call 888-ROOF-BLUE. That is 888-ROOF-BLUE. That's no E on the blue. The number there is 888-766-3258. If you submit an application, you will be added to a queue, and unless you're deemed ineligible for some reason, a crew will show up to install a Blue Roof on your house. If you don't receive a follow-up call after applying, you shouldn't get concerned about that. But if you do have a question, you can call back and ask on the same number. That's 888-766-3258. It is very unlikely that you will be given an exact date when the Blue Roof will be installed on your house. I know that bracing for another storm while we're still responding to and trying to recover from Hurricane Ida is not the position that we wanted to be in, but it is a situation that we are prepared for. But we're asking individuals and families who live across South Louisiana to be similarly prepared. We are in the peak of hurricane season. We certainly knew that additional storms would be possible, and of course there could be storms after Nicholas as well. And in fact, things continue to brew up in the Atlantic as we speak. So please continue to monitor your local weather, heed the warnings and guidance given from your local officials. If your storm supplies were depleted due to Hurricane Ida, please do what you can to restock. Make sure you have on hand that you will need. There will be a few parish state office closures tomorrow. I think we just got those in from the Commissioner of Administration. So these are Southwest Louisiana office closures ahead of Tropical Storm Nicholas. There will be 16 in Southwest Louisiana. There'll be a total of 25 parishes with state office closures tomorrow. So tomorrow they'll close in Vernon, Rapides, Avoyelles, Beauregard, Allen, Evangeline, St. Landry, Calcasieu, Jefferson Davis, Acadia, Lafayette, St. Martin, Cameron, Vermilion, Iberia, and St. Mary. Just a few comments on COVID, and then we'll take a few questions. Obviously, all of our response to Ida and preparations for Nicholas come during the pandemic. Today, we did report 4,650 new cases on 67,172 tests. That's 3 days worth of reporting, so that's Saturday, Sunday, and today's numbers. The death total reported today is 64, very tragically, and our death total for the duration of the pandemic is now 13,120. Hospitalizations currently are 1,631. That is down from Friday's number of 1,755. So anytime you have decreasing hospitalization, that is a good thing, but that 1,631 is still a very large number of individuals who are in the hospital. 297 of them are on ventilators, and that number is similarly down. It was 314 on Friday's report. I can report that 1.9 million people in Louisiana have completed their vaccination series, and I think 2 million have had at least one shot. I am not presently sure when the next press conference will be, but we will certainly let you know. You can see that I have with me some individuals. We have the Superintendent of State Police, Lamar Davis. We've got John Long, the Federal Coordinating Officer from FEMA here with Louisiana, Jim Wascom, who heads up GOSEP for us, and then Major General, sorry about that. He was promoted not too long ago. Major General Keith Waddell of the Louisiana National Guard, and they can take questions in addition to myself if you have any questions. Yes, sir.
As you said, the state is still recovering from Ida. Are there resources that you're particularly concerned about shortages of for responding to this problem?
Not really. We continue to have a good flow of commodities into Louisiana. I'm talking about liters of water, MREs, tarps. We have ice that's available. And we have expedited resupply on the one commodity that we were running short of, and that was tarps. And so we're going to have more tarps coming in tonight, and we're going to redirect some that we already have on hand so that they're available to go to Southwest Louisiana if necessary. We actually are positioned pretty well. Obviously, you hate diverting resources away from Southeast Louisiana, and hopefully we won't have to do that, or at least not in any, big way, because we're still needing to address concerns down there. Those 119,000 customers without power are concentrated now in a relatively few parishes, and they still need an awful lot of assistance in terms of fuel and ice and food and water and so forth. But we have commodities on hand, and one of the things that we're very blessed is we actually have a lot of assistance coming from other states. I told you about the more than 2,000 soldiers from other states' National Guards. That gives us more flexibility than we would otherwise have to prepare for and respond to Nicholas. But we also have sheriff's deputies and state troopers from other from other states as well. So all of that is very helpful. Yes, sir.
Could you address some of the concerns around shelter and Terrebonne and Lafourche? Saying folks are sleeping in their cars or they don't have anywhere to go. How are you responding to that issue?
Well, we have made available shelters at the state level, and there are shelters with parishes. We've also turned on transitional sheltering assistance, and as I told you, there are more than 30,000 individuals who are taking advantage of that by being able to stay in the hotel. We actually have 1,700 and something rooms in New Orleans hotels that are available for TSA right now. So we would encourage individuals to take advantage of these opportunities that are there today. And obviously we're going to be working towards more permanent housing solutions going forward, but that's going to take some time to mobilize the resources, get the appropriations necessary, and so forth, in order to hopefully engage in a very robust CDBG disaster recovery program. But we have assets that are available. So we encourage people to contact our Office of Emergency Preparedness. They'll find out where their shelters are. They can call 211 or access the sheltering information that we gave you before, and they should take advantage of the TSA program. Again, there are hotels, and I think what happened is we've seen the electricity restored to areas in New Orleans. Hotel rooms have opened up, and the last number I got this morning was 1,700 and something rooms in New Orleans that are available right now for those individuals. Anything else? Well, look, I thank you for continuing to. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was just wondering about like critical medicine. I know like doing a lot surgery, maybe there's issues in some people who do it. Are you going to address that with new surgery? Or are you just doing
I hate to do this. I couldn't understand the question.
I was talking about critical medicine, such as insulin.
Oh, critical medicine such as insulin, and the question is,
How do you plan on rolling that out? Are you going to use the same surgeons in place as last surgery?
yeah. Well, one thing that we know about insulin and some other medicines is that you can't. You have to keep it refrigerated. That's one of the reasons that we've been pushing out ice the way that we have for individuals without electricity and access to refrigerators, is so that and we've been making this point over and over, ice is not just so that you have a couple of ice cubes in your glass of water. It really is much more important than that. It keeps your food from spoiling, but it also can make sure that you have insulin on hand. Now, beyond that, I still wasn't able to understand the question. So, Jim, can you tell me?
Yeah, I think she was talking about, Governor, how do we address the shortage of insulin
Yeah.
from the last lady?
Yeah. I'm not prepared to discuss a shortage of insulin, and quite frankly, I'm not sure that I've been briefed that there was a shortage of insulin. I know that we've been trying to make sure that people could keep the insulin that they had from spoiling. But obviously, if there's an issue there, I'll raise it with the Department of Health as soon as this is over, to make sure that we do have something in place in order to address any challenges related to medications. Look, thank you all very much. Again, we will tell you if and when we're going to have a press availability tomorrow. We are encouraging people to take this storm seriously, because we're not in the posture that we would like to be before a storm. We're still responding to the previous one in southeast Louisiana, Ida, and we know that southwest Louisiana remains compromised as well, from Laura and Delta last year and the May floods this year, and all the debris hasn't been removed from the drainage laterals and the other canals and so forth. And so we're asking people to take this seriously. Remember that it doesn't take a named storm, much less a hurricane, in order to produce tremendous rainfall. And so let's be mindful of that. Let's make sure that we get ourselves ready to, as best we can, to withstand Nicholas, and we're going to continue to respond to Hurricane Ida as we are able to do that as well. So thank you all very much, and we will be addressing you again soon.